Today on Dogmatic DIY, I'm going to show you how to make this little farmhouse cottagey style moose here with a few pieces of scrap wood, some stain, some clear coat, and some nails. So let's get building. All right, first thing you want to do is grab some old fence boards and cut it down to your size. We're going to do this one. I'm going to do a 16 by 24. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a 16 by 24. So I'm going to cut them down to 24-inch lengths, and then I'm going to sand them down. So let me cut 3 boards down to 24, right? And then I'm going to sand it. And since I'm not going to put a stain, I'm just going to put a clear coat. Now, you don't have to go crazy with all the sandpapers, right? I'll do like an 80 grit here, and then I'll see how it feels, and after that, and then if I just go a little bit more, then I'll just do a little bit more. I'll just see how it feels. Since we're just putting a polyurethane on it, don't really need to start going down each step of the sandpaper, because it's supposed to look rustic and old anyway and weathered. So let me cut 3 of these down to 24 and we'll come back. Got them cut down, as you can see. Got it sanded down. Still got some nice wear on it. But I'm just getting ready to scribe the moose silhouette on there. So I got my carbon paper. Now, this carbon paper, I've used it, four or 5 times now. You don't have to use it once and throw it away, just because you can see lines through it from your previous one. I used this on the bear. I've used this on the deer heads and the heart ones. So this is the 4th time I'm using it. So I'm going to put this on and then scribe it, and we'll come back. Okay, so I scribed it, and if you noticed, I had it showing this way, and I put it this way, and not even thinking, and I just scribed it going backwards, right? No, not a big deal. It doesn't matter what side it's facing. It could face either way. But this time, instead of doing the bear, I just kind of used my vice grips to put the boards together instead of gluing them all together right away. This way, now I can take each piece apart, right, and use my jigsaw at each part now, so I don't have to drill a hole. Now I'm 3 separate pieces of wood, so it'll be much easier. Obviously, this one here is just part of the antlers here, so that'll be easy. This one has most of the body, but see now how I have part of the antlers, I can go around and do them from multiple different directions. So this one might be a little harder because I got to get around the hooves here, so it's a little smaller, but we'll give it a shot and we'll see how it comes out. So let me grab the jigsaw, and then I'll cut these out and we'll come back. Okay, so I've cut it out. Now, one thing you'll notice, that because it's on 3 boards, these pieces here are individual pieces. So if I take it out, it still looks like a moose, right? But he's got a flat belly, I guess. So when I put it on the, what do you call it, the 1/4-inch plywood, I often try to glue it, and like this one's too small, so I don't want to brad nail that one, but this one I could probably brad nail, and this one's large enough, so I'll just glue it to this piece and to the plywood behind the 1/4 inch there, and it should be good. I had to do that before with the bear, right? So get a couple little pieces. Not as many as this, but that's pretty much it. It wasn't too difficult to cut out, a couple little sharp pieces. Just these pieces here, when they fall, you want to hopefully they don't break and or mess up, right? So, or else you'll try to have to cut a small little piece to match it. All right, so let me figure out what is my background color going to be used for the plywood underneath. And then I'm gonna have to sand this up. As you know, there's a little bit of rough edges on there, so I'm gonna sand off the edges and smooth it up, and then we'll pick some colors and we'll come back. We are now ready to stain the background. I've sanded that plywood, so what I'm going to use is special walnut. I decided that looks best as the background for this moose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stain this first, then I'm going to get the border cut out and then sand that border, and then we'll stain the border. So let me stain this first, and then you can kind of see once it's dry how the background's going to look. You can see I got the stain on, the background stain. I got the pieces glued onto that plywood and brad nailed from the back. As here, let me lift the back up here. Sorry. So what I like to do, as you can see, like the brad nails, is I put a little 1/4 inch between here and this piece, so it doesn't go through. I don't want it to go through the top, right? Because that thickness is very close. So what I do is I'll put another 1/4 inch plywood here, and then I'll brad nail through them both, and then I just take my little Dremel and grind off the screws, or the brad nails on the back side, just to make sure that they're not sticking out on the back side and scratching up your wall. So I just take my little grinder. You could take that one with that, or your little cutting wheel that you can put on that. Anything that'll take off the nail head, because I don't want it to go through the front, but I also don't want it to protrude off the back. So when you have your picture hanging, that it scratches up your wall. So next, I'm just going to cut the frame. So I'm going to cut 1.5 inches around, and then cut them to the length. So let me get them cutting. Okay, here's an update here. As you can see, I've cut and stained the border, and as you can see by the kind of milky color, I've got my first coat of polio in here. What I'm using here is crystal clear diamond wood varathane wood finish here. It's a gloss, so it says it's fast drying. We'll see. Should be. I've been using this on most of my stuff that I build here. Once it's dry, it'll dry clear. Getting in those grooves is a little tricky, so I've been using the little sponge. And if I get a little blob, I got one sponge that I put it on, and the other sponge I use that's more of a dry, to kind of take out any little blobs that are thin. So I'm gonna wait for this to dry, and I'll probably test it out, put another coat on there. Might do a really fine sand with a high grit, just to make it smooth. But I don't need it too smooth, because it's just kind of like your rustic farmhouse kind of project, right? Kind of like a cottagey feel to it, so it doesn't have to be have that finished look, right? It's not supposed to. So I might not even just sand it. I just might put a second coat on to protect it, and then put a hook on the back. So I'll come back and we'll finish off the video. The clear coat's all done now. I got a couple coats on there now. So the only thing left to do is put the hanging thing on the back. So since this is fairly light, I'm only going to put one hook because it's 18 by 24, so it's only 24-inch wide. So long. So I'm going to put the hook on the back. So what we're just going to do here, let's turn around. Then we'll try to find the center. So let's try to get the center here, and I'm going to mark it. Okay, as you can see, I have the middle marked off, and then I actually marked out for the screw holes are going to be to make sure it's kind of level. Now, teeth side down. The screws he gave me weren't very long. I want a little longer screws. And I'm going to hand screw it in so I don't crack the wood. I don't want to crack the frame. So, there you go. Nice, easy afternoon project. I think the most time consuming part is letting the stuff dry. So letting the stain dry and sand. Obviously, if you're going to sand it, that's always time consuming. Everybody loves sanding. But you can do this nice and quick, especially with the moose. You can do it all with a jigsaw. Don't have to worry about a scroll saw. So minimal tools required to do this. So if you have any questions, leave in the comment section below. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell to be notified when I post another video. We'll talk to you later.